Hello everyone, it's Elena and I'm back with another video, and today I'm going to give you guys an updated tour of my Notion setup, and this video is also very kindly sponsored by Notion. And I'm going to show you guys how my Notion setup has changed to what I've added, but also I'm now reviewing my Notion setup because it is the end of the year and I always do a sort of inventory at the end of the year of my organization system. So I always look at everything that I have, both in terms of hard copies, notebooks, etc., but also in my digital working space, and I assess whether it was working for me or whether something needs to change. And there are some things in my Notion setup that I really loved and other things that I am getting rid of. And I'm going to explain to you guys why, and then there will also be an updated Notion template in my description box. But this is still the starting page. It very much still looks the same. We have these widgets here. So for example, this water counter, as well as this countdown, the weather, the clock, all of these are from Indify. Indify is really easy to use. You just sign up, it is completely free. Then you just select the widget that you want to create, customize it, and then you can add it to your Notion through a link, and then you have it there. So on my starting page, you can get to my two main folders, law school and social media. And we're going to focus on law school here, so let's go there. So as you might be able to tell, things have changed a little bit here. There's a lot more things and other stuff, but let's start at the top. So we still have my courses, and honestly, this was probably the most useless thing that I created at the beginning of the academic year because I did not really use these course pages. So what I had done is I had this overview of where I am in the course, and then I wanted to add all of my reading lists here. What happened in reality is that I just copied my reading list onto the page on which I was taking my notes, because I do not take my notes in Notion. I just have Notion as an organization tool. And so adding my reading list in here as well would just be extra effort that I didn't really need to make, because I can mark what I've read on the page where I'm taking my notes. So I didn't use it at all, and I am going to get rid of these pages because it was just kind of useless. Now, obviously, some people might feel differently about this, and if you want a template including the course pages, I will also put a link to that in the description box below, but I will also give you an updated one without the course pages. The deadlines, however, very useful overview, definitely keeping that one. Now let's get to other stuff. So here we have the law-related books and articles. That is still very much the same. So here we just have an overview of the key takeaways from a book, and also the citation, because your girl is very lazy when it comes to citations, and it motivates me to already have that done. And then I also have a more detailed overview of what I read in that book, but I also keep that like in a separate page because I want this overview of the different books and articles that I've read that are related to law but aren't on the syllabus to be concise so that I can go through it relatively easily. That page was definitely a good idea, so I'm definitely keeping it because it is useful to just have that, because when you read something interesting that isn't on the syllabus, put that knowledge somewhere so that you can find it again. Next, we have my TBR, so this is just my book list basically. Definitely keeping that one, even though it just keeps getting longer and longer. I'm not really sure when I will have time to read all the books I want to read, but we need it. Next up, we have the outfit plans. That was definitely something really useful. Now, this is like an old list here because I am on holidays at the moment. I do have to say I didn't use it as much during online teaching because when I knew that I didn't have any in-person classes, I didn't always dress up. So sometimes I just left some of the days empty. But I think if you have in-person classes, this is a really good thing to have. Next, we have my packing list. This has definitely been the most useful thing in here because I had to travel quite a lot during the term because I was sick, and so I had to go back to my home country for surgery. And it is just great to have a packing list ready for everything. Honestly, guys, if you don't have that, please create a packing list with everything that you might need. You are not going to regret doing this because you will never forget something again. Then next we have COVID guidelines and also rules for college, as well as the Law Tripos Handbook. All of these things are just rules that the university or my college have set, and so I have just put all of these there. Whenever we get an email with updates regarding the rules, I just copy the key updates and I put it here so that I can always find it again, because at this point I have so many emails regarding updated COVID rules in my email inbox that it is really hard to keep an overview of what is the current set of rules. So creating a Notion page and just, keeping the most updated information there is really, really great. Next, we have this category, personal expenses. Now, I'm not going to show you my expenses because, guys, that's personal after all. But I used the template from Notion for expenses. And I would highly recommend keeping track of your expenses, especially if you're in university, because obviously you have a limited budget. Then we have this section here, things you can do when you can't focus. Honestly, I just wrote that down at one point when I felt really unmotivated, and those are just some tips. And I just find it helpful to have that somewhere, because I feel like when you are unmotivated or you feel like you just can't focus, you don't really know what to do to get back on track. Even though if a friend asked you, like, oh, I'm not really feeling motivated, can you give me a tip? You could probably give them like 5 tips. But when you are in that situation, it's really hard to remember those tips. So that's why I just have that here. And when I don't feel motivated, I can just go to this page. Next up, we have extracurriculars. So here I have one page created for the Amnesty International group, which I'm in from the university, and there's just some information about things that I need to do. And then here I also wrote down CUHRLS, which is for the Human Rights Law Society, but we haven't really started yet, so I don't have a dedicated page for that yet. I'm not going to show you the exact tasks that I'm doing because there is information about other students there, so I can't share that. Next up, we have recipes, and no, your girl did not magically learn how to cook, but I am trying my best. And I asked you guys for recipe recommendations, and oh my god, you guys really came through. I mean, there is so much here. You guys gave me so many tips, and all of these here are toggles, so you can, just click on that toggle and then you get more information about the recipe. And I divided it by recipes that are in German and recipes that are in English, but there are so many recipes here. Like, I think I could cook for a year from these recipes. And then we also have a library checklist here. And this is really just a really easy to-do list, so you can just click the boxes and then you can see that you've completed that, so you can always check whether you have everything you need in your bag. And as with any type of list in Notion, you can just click / and then you can just type in to do, and then you can select it and then you can write a to-do list. And also the same goes for if you want to write a toggle list or another type of list. You can always use the / command function to create that particular thing in Notion. And that library checklist, as simple as it is also really useful because you don't want to walk to the library and then realize that you forgot something. And last but not least, we've also added graduate applications here. Now, I'm not going to show you the list of where I'm applying because that's personal, but I am going to show you a general overview of what graduate applications lists can look like. So I always have a section here in the table whether the application is done, the deadline, which school, the link, so where do you actually apply. Financial aid information is also really important for me, and that's kind of it. So that's the overview that I'm using here to keep track of where I'm applying. And if you use my Notion template, you will also have this empty table in there so that you can use it for your applications. And of course, as always, if you want to have this particular template, then you can add it to your Notion through the link in my description box. And yeah, that's it already. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Bye.